Alright, so after a couple of years, we finally got a new Ninja Turtles movie, and the plot for it is pretty much this. The film follows the Turtle brothers as they work to earn the love of New York City while facing down an army of mutants. Alright, let's get into the good parts of this movie, and like everyone else has been saying, the animation for this movie is absolutely stunning, and I was literally like this in the theater at times.
It's so beautiful.
The movie's animation definitely takes a lot from Spider-Verse, but it also isn't exactly a ripoff of it, and it's more like a distant cousin. The voice acting for this movie is also really great as well. We all know that the Ninja Turtles in this movie actually filmed the scenes together in one booth compared to when usually voice actors are like separate from each other, and I think it paid off for this movie. And you can just tell that they really had fun with each other and that they had really great chemistry with one another. Ice Cube as the villain for this movie is also really great as well. Once again, Ice Cube is not Daniel Day-Lewis, but I do think that he's a really entertaining actor and he brought that charisma to this performance. And Jackie Chan as Splinter was obviously great as well. It's been a long time since I've seen Jackie Chan just voice act or just be in any type of movie in general, whether it's action or animation, but it was really cool to see him here. But the best part of the movie is easily just when the turtles are just interacting with each other, or when they're just interacting with Splinter or the villains for this movie and April. There's a lot of Gen Z slang in this movie, and if you're someone like me or just a younger person, you're probably going to understand what they're saying for the most part. But if you're a parent, you're going to be absolutely lost, and you're probably going to be that parent that tries to relate to what their kids are doing these days and what they're saying.
If you see me and you trying to see what's up.
The comedy for this movie was also really good. Not all of the jokes were laugh out loud, but for the most part, all of the jokes hit for me. There wasn't a joke in the movie that I was stone-faced on. Everything that happened in this movie in terms of humor worked for me, and I usually had like a smile on my face or I had a pretty good chuckle. The last thing I'll say before I get into my criticisms for this movie is the fact that I thought the pacing was really good. This movie is 90 minutes, which is one of the reasons why it felt so short, but at the same time, there's a lot of movies that have this similar runtime that feel like it's never going to end. The criticisms that I have for this movie is the fact that I thought the action was actually very basic for this movie, and I understand that this movie is not necessarily about the action, but I thought it was kinda underwhelming. And there's not a lot of action in this movie, so what I'm saying, it feels like I'm probably talking to a brick wall right now. But you definitely notice it towards the end of the movie. And speaking of the end of the movie, I thought the final act was pretty good in terms of the emotional story that the movie's trying to tell. Although I think it's basic, I do think it pays off. But like I said, I do think the action was just kind of subpar at the end, and I wasn't really buying what was going on, and I kind of got put out of it. The last thing I'll say before I give my score is the fact that I thought the music in this movie was kind of overused, and not the score itself, like the original score, but I thought just like the 80s and 90s songs that are played in this movie, at some times it's just kind of unbearable for me. And yeah, overall, as someone who is a fan of this overall franchise, I thought I was really satisfied with what I got. Even if you're not the biggest Ninja Turtles fan, if you're a big fan of Spider-Verse's animation, or if you just want to see a really solid family movie, then I think this movie's for you. So yeah, if you go see the new Ninja Turtles movie, I think you're going to have a really great time with it, and it's definitely one of my favorites of the year.